That scene in 28 Days Later, where the guy wakes up in an empty hospital and just walks out into London, he'd be dead in 20 minutes. Not from zombies, from dehydration, because he's been in a coma for 4 weeks without IV fluids and his organs are shutting down. No, your favorite zombie movies aren't survival guides. They're fantasy with a body count. Welcome to Outbreak Files. Today, we're tearing apart the most iconic zombie movies and showing you exactly why their survival strategies would get you killed in an actual outbreak. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which movie moments are pure fiction, which survival decisions are death sentences, and why following Hollywood's playbook is the fastest way to become a statistic. Let's start with the one everyone thinks they'd survive. Every zombie dies from a headshot. Every single one. Knife to the skull, dead. Arrow through the eye, dead. Screwdriver to the temple, dead. It's so consistent that characters treat it like a cheat code. Just aim for the head and you win. Except in real life, headshots aren't guaranteed kills even against living humans with functioning nervous systems. You think a reanimated corpse with unknown biology is going to follow your rules. Here's the problem. Skulls are hard. Absurdly hard. You're not punching through bone with a kitchen knife unless you've got superhuman strength, and the zombie is politely holding still. That dramatic moment where someone casually stabs a zombie through the temple, that's Hollywood. In reality, your knife gets stuck in bone. You can't pull it free, and now you're unarmed while the zombie you failed to kill is grabbing you. The show makes it look effortless because they're using prop skulls made of foam and latex. Real human skulls are dense, curved, and designed to protect the brain from impacts that would kill most other animals. There's a reason medieval weapons were designed specifically to crack skulls, because skulls don't crack easily. And even if you manage to penetrate the skull, you need to hit the right part of the brain. The show never specifies which part stops a zombie. Is it the brainstem, the frontal lobe, the cerebellum? Because if it's the brainstem, which controls basic motor functions, you need surgical precision on a moving target while under extreme stress. Good luck with that. Now let's talk about firearms. Sure, bullets penetrate skulls, if you hit them, but The Walking Dead treats headshots like they're easy. Characters are landing perfect temple shots on moving targets while stressed, exhausted, and running on adrenaline. Meanwhile, trained police officers in controlled situations miss stationary targets at close range regularly. The FBI's hit rate in actual gunfights is around 20 to 30%. You think you're doing better against moving zombies while starving and sleep deprived. And here's the part that really breaks immersion. Sound. Every gunshot in The Walking Dead should attract every zombie within a half-mile radius. A single pistol shot is around 140, 160 decibels, louder than a jet engine at takeoff. In the show, characters fire off rounds in the middle of towns and somehow only attract a manageable number of zombies. In reality, that gunshot just told every infected in the area exactly where you are, and they're all coming at once. But let's say you do land the headshot and somehow don't attract a horde. Great, you just used one bullet. You've got, maybe 100 rounds if you're lucky, and you're facing thousands of zombies over the course of months or years. The math doesn't work. You're going to run out of ammunition, and when you do, you're back to that knife that doesn't actually penetrate skulls the way the show pretends it does. Here's what the show should look like if it were realistic. Characters would avoid zombies entirely whenever possible. When forced to fight, they'd use tactics that don't rely on precision strikes to specific body parts. They'd use fire, crushing, dismemberment, anything that doesn't require perfect accuracy. And they'd be terrified of every encounter because they know their weapons don't actually work as reliably as Hollywood suggests. The real survival strategy isn't aim for the head. It's don't fight unless you absolutely have to. And when you have to, don't assume biology works like a video game. World War Z, the movie, has one of the fastest infection rates in zombie fiction. 12 seconds from bite to full conversion. It's terrifying. It's intense. It's also completely unsustainable for the zombies themselves. Here's why. That level of transformation requires massive energy. You're not just getting infected, you're completely restructuring neural pathways, flooding the body with adrenaline or equivalent chemicals, overriding every safety limiter the human body has, and converting from normal human to hyper-aggressive sprinting machine in under half a minute. That takes calories, lots of them. A normal human body burns about 2,000 calories per day just existing. Sprinting which is what these zombies do constantly, burns around 500 to 600 calories per hour. So a zombie that's active for 12 hours a day is burning through 6,000, 7,000 calories daily. And where are those calories coming from? The infected don't eat. They bite and move on. They're not consuming their victims for energy. They're just spreading infection, which means they're running on whatever was in their system when they turned. For a normal human, that's maybe 2,000 calories worth of glycogen and fat stores if they're well fed. For someone who's been caught in an outbreak and hasn't eaten properly in days, way less. So you've got zombies sprinting at full speed, climbing walls, swarming like ants, throwing themselves at obstacles, all activities that burn through calories at an insane rate. Give it 24 hours and those zombies should be moving slower. Give it 48 hours and they should be collapsing from energy depletion. Give it a week and they should be immobile corpses. But in the movie, they just keep going, forever, on nothing. Days into the outbreak, they're still climbing walls and swarming at full speed. Weeks later, they're shown maintaining the same intensity. It's physically impossible, but the movie needs it to work for the plot to function. It's the same problem with 28 days later. The rage virus creates infected, who are hyper-aggressive, constantly active, bleeding from the eyes, vomiting blood, all signs of massive physiological stress. They're burning energy like they're running a marathon every single day. And in the movie, we're told they starve to death after a few weeks because they don't eat. Okay, so the movie acknowledges the energy problem. Good, except how did they last long enough to collapse civilization in the first place? Britain falls in weeks. If the infected are starving to death in that same time frame, they should be dropping before they can spread far enough to cause total collapse. You can't have both infection spreads fast enough to destroy society and infected die from starvation quickly. Pick one. Real zombies, if such a thing existed, would either need to consume flesh constantly to maintain that energy output, or they'd be slow and conservative with movement to preserve resources. You can't have sprint speed zombies that never eat and never slow down. The laws of thermodynamics don't care about your movie's plot. The only way World War Z zombies work is if the virus violates basic physics. And sure, it's fiction, so maybe it does. But if you're using this movie as a baseline for what would a real outbreak look like, you're building your survival strategy on impossible biology. Rule number 1, cardio. It's the most famous line from Zombieland, and everyone nods along like it's brilliant advice. The fat guy dies first because he can't run. The fit guy survives because he can. Simple, right? No, wrong. Dead wrong. You can outrun a zombie today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe even next week if you're in great shape. But month 2, month 6, you're not maintaining peak cardio performance while starving, dehydrated, sleep deprived, and stressed. Your body doesn't work that way. Here's what actually happens. Your body starts cannibalizing its own muscle tissue for energy when food is scarce. That's not a metaphor. It literally breaks down muscle for calories. Your VO2 max plummets. Your endurance crashes. That cardio that saved you in weeks. One is gone by week 8 because you've lost 30 pounds and most of it was muscle mass. Meanwhile, the zombies are exactly as fast as they were on day 1 because they're not subject to malnutrition. And let's talk about injuries. Running on concrete for months straight with inadequate nutrition and no recovery time. Your knees are destroyed. Your ankles are compromised. You develop stress fractures that never heal properly because you don't have the calcium intake or rest required for bone repair. By month 3, you're limping. By month 6, running isn't even an option anymore. But here's the bigger problem. You've been prioritizing cardio over everything else. You can run away great, but you can't carry enough supplies because you skipped strength training. You can't fortify a position because you focused on escape over defense. You can't process a deer carcass because you never learned practical skills. You optimized for the wrong survival metric. The movie treats survival like a list of clever one-liners. Rule number 2, double tap. Great, you just used twice the ammo you needed and made twice the noise. Rule number 3, beware of bathrooms. Oddly specific and not actually useful. Rule number 17, don't be a hero. Actually solid advice, we'll give them that one. But the film never addresses resource management, long-term sustainability, or the psychological toll of constant stress. Cardio might help you survive day 1. It won't help you survive day 100 when you're malnourished, injured, and your body has broken down from months of unsustainable physical demands. The real rule number 1 should be avoid conflict entirely whenever possible, because every encounter, even ones you win, depletes resources you can't replace. A group of survivors holes up in a shopping mall. Unlimited supplies, defensible position, everything they need to wait out the outbreak. It's the apocalypse survival fantasy, and it falls apart under the slightest scrutiny. First problem, power. The mall has electricity in the movie because the plot needs it to. In reality, the grid fails within days of an outbreak. Maybe you've got a few days of backup generators if the mall is fancy. Then what? No power means no lights, no refrigeration, no security systems, nothing. That mall becomes a dark maze filled with spoiling food and zero visibility. Good luck defending multiple entrances when you can't see 10 feet in front of you. Second problem, water. Malls don't have their own water supply. They're connected to municipal systems that require constant power and maintenance. When the power fails, the treatment plants stop working. When the workers stop showing up, the pumps stop running. Within 48 hours, the toilets stop flushing and the taps run dry. You're now living in a building with no sanitation, surrounded by human waste, in the dark. Give it 2 weeks, and that mall is a biohazard that'll kill you faster than the zombies outside. Third problem, those supplies aren't unlimited. Mall has a lot of stuff. Yes, but it's designed to serve a rotating customer base with regular restocking, not sustain a permanent population indefinitely. That food court, it's got frozen food that's already spoiling because there's no power. Those restaurants, they've got supplies for maybe a week of normal operation before they need delivery trucks. You've got canned goods from a few stores. And then what? Let's do the math. Say your group is 10 people. You need roughly 20,000 calories per day, total, just to maintain weight. That's about 600,000 calories per month. A typical grocery store section in a mall might have 50,000, 100,000 calories worth of non-perishable food if you're lucky. You've got 2 weeks, maybe 3 if you ration hard. Then you're starving in your fortress. Fourth problem, you just told everyone where you are. The movie treats the mall like a secret base, but it's a giant landmark that every survivor in the region knows about. You're not defending against zombies. You're defending against desperate humans who want what you have, and they've got more people than you do, and they're willing to kill for food because they're starving too. The mall works in the movie because the movie needs it to work for the plot. In reality, you'd be better off in a rural farmhouse with a well, a garden, and no one knowing you exist. Boring? Yes. But boring keeps you alive longer than defending a mall that becomes unlivable within 2 weeks. Will Smith's character lives alone in New York City for 3 years? He has a dog. He has a routine. He's surviving. He's also completely insane, and the movie just doesn't acknowledge it. 3 years of isolation doesn't make you a stoic survivor. It makes you psychologically broken. Humans aren't wired for that level of solitude. We're social animals. Extended isolation causes hallucinations, paranoia, depression, cognitive decline, and eventually complete psychological collapse. The movie shows him talking to mannequins and treating them like people. That's not quirky. That's a symptom of severe psychological breakdown. And the film plays it for light comedy instead of acknowledging that this man is mentally unraveling in real time. Studies on isolation show that humans start experiencing serious psychological effects after just weeks alone. Months lead to hallucinations, paranoia, impaired decision-making. 3 years, your ability to assess risk is gone. You start taking irrational chances because your brain is malfunctioning from lack of social interaction. And let's talk about his survival setup. He's got electricity somehow. He's growing crops with UV lights. He's maintaining multiple vehicles. He's doing all of this alone while defending against dark seekers every night. When does he sleep? When does he maintain all these systems and somehow not go insane? The movie works because it skips over realistic consequences of long-term isolation. In reality, the lone wolf survivor isn't a badass. They're a ticking time bomb of mental health issues making fatal mistakes because their brain stopped working properly around month 6. Train to Busan has some of the most terrifying fast zombies in fiction. They're aggressive, they swarm, they climb over each other in waves. It's also biologically absurd. These zombies go from bite to full conversion in seconds. They immediately start sprinting at maximum speed. They show zero signs of pain, fatigue, or self-preservation. Here's the issue. Human bodies have limiters for a reason. Your muscles can generate enough force to break your own bones, but your brain stops you. These zombies have no limiters, which means they're destroying their own bodies with every action. Sprinting without pacing, you're tearing muscles, slamming into walls, internal bleeding, climbing without caution, fracturing bones. Give it 48 hours, and those zombies should be collapsing from physical damage alone. But in the movie, they just keep going. Days later, still moving at full speed, with no signs of physical breakdown. It's terrifying cinema, but it's not how bodies work. Here's the truth. Zombie movies are designed to entertain, not educate. They need protagonists who survive long enough to have character arcs. They need dramatic moments that look cool. They need simple rule systems. Reality cares about biology, physics, resource scarcity, and psychological toll. Your favorite movie moments, the headshots, the cardio, the mall fortress. They work because the script says they work, not because they'd function in a real outbreak. Does that mean these movies are bad? No, they're great. But treating them as survival manuals is like treating Fast and Furious as a driver's ed course. It's entertainment with a loose relationship to reality, and confusing the two gets you killed. The survivors in real outbreaks aren't the ones copying movie protagonists. They're the ones who understand that Hollywood lies, biology doesn't, and the apocalypse doesn't care how cool you look while dying. You just learned your favorite survival movie is a death trap. So here's the question. Which movie mistake would kill you first? Trusting headshots always work, thinking cardio is enough, or believing that Mall Fortress is actually defensible? Drop your answer below. Then subscribe, because if Hollywood is your survival plan, you need a reality check. Movies lie, biology doesn't, and the outbreak doesn't care what worked on screen.